Hello, welcome to Words You Need, Level 4, Lesson 4. Level 4 is Advanced. So, in this lesson, there are 50 words which you might not know even if you already have a high level of English. And if you do know the words, then it's quite possible that they're not in your active vocabulary yet. So hopefully, this lesson will help you to add some words to your active vocabulary and make your English even better. So, let's go. Word number 151, because we've already done 150 words in the first 3 lessons. In Russian, кому выгодна эта ситуация? In English, who benefits from this situation? So if we're talking about кому выгодно, you can use the word benefits. It doesn't benefit them at all. So why would they agree to do it? What's in it for me? How will I benefit? You can also use it. What's in it for me? That's quite informal when you're doing a deal with somebody. What's in it for me? How will I benefit? What benefits are there for me? Another sentence. Я не извлек никакой выгоды из этой ситуации. I didn't benefit from the situation. And there's also an adjective. Некоторые бактерии вредны, а другие полезны. Some bacteria are harmful, but others are beneficial. So in this context, beneficial is the opposite of harmful. Let's see what other things can be beneficial. Oops, Russian letters, we don't want them. Beneficial. Let's have a look. A beneficial effect, yeah. Beneficial insects, I don't know. Mosquitoes are not beneficial insects. Full stop. They are pests. In my opinion, maybe somebody thinks mosquitoes are beneficial. I don't know. Worms are very beneficial to gardeners. So worms is червяки, and they help gardeners, so they're beneficial. They have a beneficial effect on the garden. All right, next word. Постарайтесь смешаться с толпой. Смешаться. Try to blend into the crowd. Try to blend in. You probably know what a blender is. I bought a blender because I wanted to make my own milkshakes. What does a blender do? It takes different things and it blends them all together. It's a blender. So you can also blend in to the crowd. It's the opposite of standing out. Don't stand out, full stop. Blend in. Next one. Мне нужно преобразовать эти файлы в PDF-файлы. Преобразовать. I need to convert these files into PDFs. Convert. It's got a long sound. Try to make it a double. Convert. 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 I need to convert these files. And we also use convert when we talk about religion. If somebody changes their religion or they choose to adopt a new religion, we use the word convert. So она приняла христианство is she converted to Christianity when she married her husband. Let's have a look at some other things that we convert. For that, we will need to do collocates. Convert. Convert, and we want it to be convert as a verb, and then words that come after convert Not only words. Sorry. I need nouns to make it interesting. There we go. So, convert to Islam. But you can convert energy. So you can see here we've got convert energy is like converting a file, but convert to Islam is about religion. Convert a text, convert a text into a picture. But we also have all the religions. Convert to Christianity, convert to Catholicism, convert to Judaism, etc. So, enough about conversion. Next one. 154. Дефект приводит к перегреву аккумулятора телефона. This sentence shouldn't be here. A defect causes the phone's battery to overheat. Voice typing doesn't cope with apostrophes. It shouldn't be here because I tried to remove all the words which are the same in Russian and English. Defect, defect. Okay, there's a difference in pronunciation. We say defect, you say defect. But they're basically the same. And I put all those words at the end of the course. So at the end of the course, you can find 15 lessons with those kinds of words. But defect has another meaning. Я прочитал книгу советского шпиона, который дезертировал в 70-х. I read a book by a Soviet spy who defected in the 1970s. So there's also the verb to defect. And if you defect, it's дезертировать. So to defect. A Soviet spy who defected, and they're called, he was a famous defector. So defector, somebody who defected. Another meaning of defect. But the stress is different. Defect, the noun. Defect, stress on the first syllable. To defect, the stress is on the second syllable. 155. Убийца был казнен. Или казнен. I don't know. The murderer was executed. Many people watched the execution. So this word execute can be казнить, but it's not only казнить. Because президент обладает исполнительной властью. When we talk about исполнительная власть, we also use this word. The president has executive power. Why? Because he can execute. What can he execute? Let's have a look, actually. Let's have a quick look at this idea. Because I can't think of a good word. Execute a plan, for example. The plan was executed to perfection. Obviously, that is not about казнь. They executed the strategy perfectly. So you can talk about the execution of a person, but you can also talk about the execution of a plan. And that's why CEO is the Chief Executive Officer. Because he can исполнять планы, решения, etc. Execute plans, strategies, things like that. Okay, next one. Они поддерживали меня в моем горе. Горе. They supported me in my grief. Grief. Try to do a long r. Grief. We also sometimes say, good grief, when we're shocked. Good grief. At least older people say that. Not so often nowadays with younger people. And the verb is to grieve. So, они скорбят о потере своей бабушки. They are grieving the loss of their grandmother. So it's grief is the noun, grieve is the verb. Grief, grieve. I hope you can hear the difference in the vowel sound. Grief, the vowel is short before an unvoiced f. Grief, grief, grief. But grieve, there's a lot of y before the voiced sound v. Grief, grieve, grief, grieve. So actually the sound at the end, the f and the v, you can't really hear them, but the vowel changes because of the different sounds at the end of the word. Grief, short vowel. Grieve, long vowel. Next word, 157. Вода снижает уровень сцепления шин с дорогой. Water reduces the level of grip between tires and the road. American tires. Let's have British tires. There we go. Tires. Grip. Grip. We can also talk about friction. So some materials grip better. Some materials grip better because they create more friction. So friction is the word from physics about this force between two materials, two surfaces. The less formal word is grip. You can say, these tires are really grippy. Try again. The grip has worn out on my shoes, so they're slippy now. So the grip on shoes is the stuff on the sole, on the bottom, which helps them to grip. And grip is also used when we just squeeze something. So on ослабил хватку на моей руке, he loosened his grip on my hand. And look what else we often have grip on. I think I know what words we'll get here. Grip on. Let's have a look. Yeah, we often talk about grip on power. He doesn't want to release his grip on power. Or she lost her grip on reality. Like, сошла с ума. She lost her grip on reality. All right, 158. Общественное мнение формируется телевизионными новостями. Формируется. Public opinion is shaped by TV news. It's shaped. Of course, you know the noun, a shape. But the verb to shape, not everybody knows. So we often talk about shaping something that's not physical. So you can shape somebody's opinion. You can shape somebody's personality, perhaps. You can shape a child. Let's see what we can get here with what often comes before shaped. Identity is shaped. Life is shaped. Lives are shaped. History is shaped. Shaped. Okay, 159. У меня болит горло, когда я глотаю. Глотать is swallow. My throat hurts when I swallow. Try to do a long s at the beginning. Swallow. Swallow. It's not swore, but swallow. Swal. Swal. The vowel is just the sound that comes out as we move from w to l. Swallow. Swallow. Like that. Look at my tongue. Swal. Swal. Swallow. Number 160. Она из другого племени. She is from another tribe. Don't forget that TR is usually pronounced with a sh sound. Ch, 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 tribe. Tribe. She's from another tribe. We often use the adjective tribal as well. There was tribal fighting in the area. Tribe, tribal. And that is the last word in the first set of 10 words in today's lesson. So if you have got full access to words you need, then you can press pause, head over to hopkinsenglish.com and do the tasks to practice the words. Or perhaps you just want to keep watching and I'm going to talk about some more words. So, word number 161. Полиция была предупреждена о сложившейся ситуации. You probably know the word warned, but you're warned about something in the future. But we're talking about something that's happening now. So, somebody told the police. The police were alerted to the situation. And we usually use this word alert when you are told about something serious. So, for example, in this case, we're talking about the emergency services. Аварийные службы приведены в состояние повышенной готовности. The emergency services are on high alert. High alert. High alert. They're ready to go. They're on high alert. So also to be alert, a hunter should be very alert. You need to be ready to do something. So that's to be alert, whereas the verb to alert somebody to is to tell them something which should make them act quickly. So, alert. 162. Мы посмотрели странный фильм. Nice French word that means странный. We watched a bizarre film. It was bizarre. Make the R really long. Bizarre. And try to use croaky voice if you can. I call it croaky voice. Bizarre. So the second half of the sound is not R with your voice, it's croaky. Bizarre. Bizarre. A bizarre film. We watched a bizarre film. Bizarre. Number 163. Пуля была извлечена из его ноги. Пуля. This bullet was removed from his leg. Bullet. Just don't say bool. It's not bool. It's bullet. Like buik is a bull. Bull. The is really short. Bull. Bullet. Bullet. The stress comes from this before the bullet. This. Listen to the pause. This bullet, that really creates a sense of stress. This bullet was removed from his leg. Bullet. 164. Я пытаюсь подсчитать наши общие расходы. Подсчитать. I'm trying to calculate our total expenses. Of course, everybody knows the word calculator because in Russian it's kalkulyator. What do calculators do? Calculators calculate things. And the noun, when we calculate things, we get calculations. Эти расчеты неверны. These calculations are incorrect. So, calculations. Next one, 165. Вес должен быть равномерно распределен по всему судну. Weight should be evenly distributed around the ship. So, распределить, to distribute. Distribute. They distributed more than 5,000 food packets. They gave them to lots of people, to distribute. (166) Я считаю, что подозреваемый невиновен. I believe that the suspect is innocent. 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 Try not to make the it too loud. No, innocent. The suspect is innocent. Innocent. And the noun is innocence. So, можете ли вы доказать свою невиновность? Can you prove your innocence? So, innocent. Adjective, innocence. The noun. Not too difficult. 167. Она ищет внутреннего покоя. Of course, it could be she is searching for inner peace. She is looking for inner peace. But there's another word. She is seeking inner peace. Not inner peace. Inner peace. There we go. With an American accent, it sometimes works better. She is seeking inner peace. Let's look at some other things that people seek. To seek. Now let's do it with collocates. Seek. Collocates. That looks good. What do we get? Seek help. You should seek help. We're seeking advice. We're seeking information about the market in that country. They came seeking asylum. Bieżący in English is asylum seekers. Many of the people on the boat were asylum seekers. They were seeking asylum. So, to seek. And it's an interesting verb because it's irregular. It's seek, sought. No, not like that. Not that kind of sort. But it does sound the same in British English. Seek, sought. So, они пытались отменить решение судьи. They sought to overturn the judge's ruling. And seek to do something is a bit different to seeking something. Seeking something means looking for something. Or for somebody, actually. Прятки in English is let's play hide and seek. Kids love playing hide and seek. So just seek is искать. But seek to do is usually стараться. And we often find this with, let's see which verbs often come after seek to. They sought. We sought to make a difference. Not ought, sought. We sought to make a difference. We are seeking to determine the nature of the changes. Determine in this case means определить. We're seeking to determine exactly what happened. And as you can see, it's a common collocation with seek. We are seeking to understand her motives. So мы пытаемся. So seek, two meanings, искать and пытаться. Okay, 168. Мы можем только догадываться о его истинных мотивах. Догадываться. Okay, there's guess, but there's another word, speculate. We can only speculate as to his true motives. They dismissed my theory as pure speculation. So, I think it's a little bit different to the way spekuляция is used in Russian to talk about finance. In the Soviet Union, it was very bad, I think, to be spekulant or something like that. Here, speculate is when you just you give your ideas, but they're not based on anything. So speculation has no foundations. Pure speculation. No foundations whatsoever. We can only speculate because we know nothing. Speculate. Next one. Плохое поведение недопустимо. Misbehavior. Misbehavior will not be tolerated. Это недопустимо. It won't be tolerated. It can't be tolerated. I'm sure you know about tolerance, толерантность. The adjective, they're very tolerant. Most British people are very tolerant. I think it's true. They accept most things. But misbehavior will not be tolerated. And the last word in this set of 10 is... Он говорит, что его пытали. Пытать. He says that he was tortured. So it's torture. And the noun, они отвели его в камеру пыток. They took him to the torture chamber. And it's quite interesting. They tortured the teacher. If we compare the words torture and teacher, you can hear that T-U-R-E and C-H-E-R are basically pronounced the same. Torture, teacher. Torture, teacher. Torture, teacher. Torture, teacher. It's basically the same. So remember that. T-U-R-E is pronounced ch. Torture. That's it. That's another set of 10. So you can press pause, take a break, do the tasks, or stay with me to listen to another set of 10. Next, number 171. Я решил, что ты будешь здесь уже. I assumed that you would be here by now. Usually you'll find the translation предположить for this verb, to assume. I don't really like this translation because предположить, it's like an idea. It's like a suggestion. But there's no certainty in предположение, as I understand it. But in assume, I act like something is certain. That's why I kind of like this translation решить in this case. Я решил, что так и будет. Я решил, что вот так и есть. I assumed. Maybe без оснований. Maybe it's groundless. Your assumptions were groundless. Предположение без оснований, but not only предположение, because it's not only like your ideas, it's your assumptions. You decided that it was true. An assumption is something that I decide it's true, even though I don't actually know that it's true. But I decided that it was true. And in science, we always talk about assumptions. When you, do an experiment, what have you decided is true at the beginning? What are the facts? What have you decided, and have you checked them all? If you haven't, maybe your assumptions are false, like in this case. His theory was based on a false assumption. So, to assume is решить, что это факт, что так и точно есть, but maybe it isn't. And we often make assumptions about the future. I don't know. I assumed that it wouldn't rain, so I didn't take a coat with me. Я решил, что дождя не будет. In English, it sounds strange to say, I decided that it wouldn't rain, because I can't decide. Это же не я решаю. But I assumed that it wouldn't rain, so I didn't take a coat. Assume, try to use this word. Okay. В ваших отношениях вы должны установить четкие границы. Границы. I'm sure you know the word borders. Borders are between countries or between regions within a country. So borders are lines on a map. But when we make our own границы, we use the word boundaries. In your relationships, you should set clear boundaries. I wonder which adjectives you often find before boundary. If I do that, then we'll get the plural and the singular, I think. So you can also talk about national boundaries, as you can see as well. Political boundaries, cultural boundaries, geographic boundaries. But they're not really lines on a map if they're geographical boundaries. They're more like a space between two countries. So boundaries is границы, but not lines on a map. Next one. Он был опустошен, когда от него ушла жена. He was devastated when his wife left him. It was a devastating blow. Devastating. Oh, really terrible. Really just so bad. Devastated, devastating. And to add more emotion, devastated. We get this before the duh. And that gives the emotion. So it's not devastated. It's devastated. We even add some aspiration. Devastated. He was devastated. So don't use too much voice. He was devastated. Do a little pause. And then push the air through. Devastated. Next. 174. Не вмешивайся, когда я готовлю. Don't interfere when I'm cooking. So there are two words. There's the word intervene. There was no need to intervene. There was no need to interfere. The meanings of these words are very close, but interfere is always negative, whereas intervene is more neutral. So an intervention, maybe it wasn't requested, but often it was useful. Thank you for intervening. But you would never say thank you for interfering, because interfere has this negative consequence. So you don't thank somebody for interfering, but you thank somebody for intervening. So in this case, yeah, don't interfere when I'm cooking. Stay out. Don't interfere. I don't need your help. We also talk about interference, like when you, for example, on the radio, if there's interference, then you can't hear the program properly because there's some interference. It stops the signal getting through. Next one. В антракте я выпил бокал вина. Entr'acte is the interval. I had a glass of wine during the interval. When you say the interval, remember to pronounce the with an E sound. The interval. The interval. I had a glass of wine during the interval. Next one. Она одобрительно кивнула голову. Yes. She nodded in approval. So this is to nod. I'm nodding. To nod. Yes, okay. Nod. Nod. Make the n long. We don't want too much in this word. Nod. Nod. Next one, 177. На церемонии открытия присутствовали тысячи зрителей. Зрители. Thousands of spectators attended the opening ceremony. Зрители is the spectators, I would say, not in a theatre. In a theatre, it's the audience. I would never talk about spectators in a theatre because it seems like we spectate outside. I've got a stadium, for example. You could talk about spectators in a stadium because everybody is standing outside and watching from a distance. So in a theatre, it's the audience, whereas when it's outside, it's spectators. And if the theatre is outside, it's still the audience. I guess because the audience, they're involved in what is happening. If you're involved, then you're the audience. The actors are trying to involve you. Whereas if you're a spectator, you're very passive. What is happening on the stage has nothing to do with you. Maybe that's why in a football match, spectator sounds weird, because football fans, they participate, they shout and they scream and they sing. So they're kind of involved. So they're not just spectators. Whereas, spectators, it's kind of more passive, I would say. Next one, 178. Эта тропа ведет на вершину горы. This trail leads to the top of the mountain. We could use the word track in this case. I would say that a track is wider than a trail. So on a track, usually a vehicle can get through, at least a quad bike. Maybe not a car, but at least a quad bike can travel on a track, whereas a trail is more for people. I would say a trail is probably a bit more substantial than a path. So a path might be a bit narrower, less clear. A trail may be a little bit clearer. So you have paths, trails, and then tracks are quite substantial for vehicles maybe. And we also use this phrase, on my trail. Копы, полицейские, идут по моему следу. The cops are on my trail. And don't forget, TR is pronounced trail. They're on my trail. Trail. And that's why you probably know the car Nissan X-Trail. Oh, it didn't want to write trail for me. Nissan X-Trail. The idea is it can kind of, maybe it can even go on trails because it's, it can go everywhere because it's a four-wheel drive. Even though I said usually cars don't go on trails. Maybe that's what makes it a special car. Next one, 179. Хотели бы вы перейти в первый класс? This is not первый класс in school. This is первый класс on a train or in the air or on an aeroplane. Would you like to upgrade to first class? To upgrade. It's also possible to downgrade. You can upgrade, you can downgrade. Перейти на что-то выше. And 180. Сегодня утром я отлично потренировался. Вот это отличная тренировка. I did a great workout this morning. Remember, the stress is on the first syllable. Workout. That means we get a longer w. Workout. Workout. It was a great workout. I do a workout every morning. Actually, I don't work out. It's also a verb. I don't work out. I never do workouts. I know I should, but life, it's difficult. And I don't like push-ups. And I don't like pull-ups. I don't mind squats. That's приседания. Squats are okay, but anything with the arms, it's not really for me. Anyway, workout. A workout. Тренировка в зале или дома. And that's the last word in this set of 10. So, if you like, pause the video, practice the words, or stay with me for another set of 10 words. The next set of 10, starting with 181, исследование привело к некоторым удивительным выводам. This word is not only удивительный, это прямо шокирующий, прямо что? What? The word is astonishing. The research led to some astonishing findings. They were astonishing. I was astonished. Just listen very carefully to how I stress this word. Astonishing. It was astonishing. I don't do a big ooh. I do astonishing. I do a big pause before the t. But I don't say t. I say, like Russian, t. Без придыхания, with no aspiration, because after S, T is not aspirated. So it sounds a little bit like this. Astonishing. Astonishing. It's almost like a D sound because it comes after S. Astonishing. Astonishing. And you can hear this if you compare the words, I don't know, date. When you say date, when we say state, it's a bit like saying s and then date. State. State. Whereas if I say tate, I don't say state, but state. Tate. Astonishing. Astonishing. No aspiration because it's after s. Astonishing findings. Wow. Astonishing. Next one. 182. Она предана своей работе. Предана прямо. She is dedicated to her work. Dedicated. What other things are people often dedicated to? Dedicated to. I like these when we get verbs followed by the ing form. Dedicated to. She's dedicated to helping the poorest people in society. It's like her life goal. If you're dedicated to something, it's like your life goal. It's your vocation. I'm dedicated to providing a great service to all my students. It's my main goal. I'm dedicated to it. We are Try again. We are dedicated to preserving the natural environment. We're dedicated to it. And with to and then an ing word. I like these. There aren't many verbs like that where you have to followed by something ing. Dedicated to helping, providing, preserving, etc. And the noun is dedication. Я восхищаюсь ее самоотверженностью. I'm not sure if that's the best translation, but I admire her dedication. So, if somebody, she's dedicated to her studies, for example. She really prioritizes her studies. She makes it the most important thing in her life, and I admire that. I admire her dedication. A lot of hard work and dedication is required to become an Olympic champion. Dedication. And we also can dedicate something to somebody. So very often at the beginning of a book, you can see who the book is dedicated to. Книга посвящается моим родителям. This book is dedicated to my parents. So, dedicated, useful word. Also, try to do a nice soft duh as well. Dedicate, dedicate, dedicate. Not duh, but dedicate. Okay, 183. Мы оценили 3 кандидатов. Оценить is a tricky word to translate. We evaluated the 3 candidates. So, three words that may help us with оценить. There's to rate. We rated the candidates. There is to assess. We assessed the candidates. And to evaluate, we evaluated the candidates. And they're a little bit different. If you rate, usually you put them in order. You know, the best, the second best, the worst. That will be to rate the candidates. To assess the candidates, if you assess somebody, you usually give them a score. Good, all right, bad. At school, we always talk about assessments. We do a lot of assessments. And when you do an assessment, you get a result. Good, all right, bad. Evaluate is more detailed. So if you evaluate the candidates, then you might write 3 paragraphs about each candidate. Because an evaluation is more thorough. So an evaluation is more thorough than an assessment. And a rating is just a number. So an evaluation, it's thorough. There's more thought. There are more words in an evaluation. So it depends on how you want to оценить, which word you want to use. Next one. Это дерево. Oh no. Полое. Полое, I guess. There's nothing inside it. This tree is hollow. I always think, if I haven't come across this word in 10 years in Russia, then perhaps you don't need to know it in English. But anyway, hollow. Hollow. There's nothing inside. Sometimes we joke, oh, his head's hollow. There's nothing in there. It's hollow. We also use hollow to talk about some other things. Look. Hollow before a noun. So as you can see, you can talk about a hollow tree, but you can also say it was a hollow victory. If the victory was hollow, it has no substance. Like, okay, we won, but I don't know. We won because our opponent was injured, for example. So it was a hollow victory because we didn't really win. They just got injured, or they were ill. They couldn't do their best. So that will be a hollow victory. It's like a victory without substance. And maybe a hollow point is the same idea. It doesn't. If it's hollow, it doesn't really have substance. You can talk about hollow words as well. A hollow promise. If somebody gives you their words, but they don't have substance. Hollow. Next one. Она произнесла некоторые очень неприятные вещи. Вот даже вредные, я бы сказал. She said some very nasty things. And this is why the name Nastya doesn't sound very good in English-speaking countries, because Nastya sounds like nasty. And nasty means вредный. So if your name is Anastasia, then it's probably better to be Stacy than Nastya when you're in an English-speaking country. Because nasty means вредный. Nasty. Ugh. So there's a nasty smell here. Ugh. What else comes after nasty? Nasty smell, nasty person, nasty stuff. It's a nasty habit. Yeah, вредная привычка. This is a nasty business. Грязное дело. So, nasty. They're going through a nasty divorce. про развод. Next one, 186. Теперь мы можем возобновить наш разговор. Возобновить. Now we can resume our conversation. So, if you pause something, then you can resume. We will continue this conversation after the resumption. So, the noun from to resume is resumption. To resume, the resumption. 187. Она вздохнула с облегчением. Whew. You probably know this word. She breathed a sigh of relief. So the noun is a sigh. There's also the verb. He sighed and closed his book. Not signed, sighed. Let's try again. He sighed and closed his book. Nope. I'm not saying N, but voice typing's not working. He sighed. For example, I'm reading my book or I'm doing something on my phone and my kids come and bother me. Daddy, daddy. Okay. He sighed and put down his phone. He sighed and closed his book. Oh, more about kids. Я присмотрю за укладыванием детей на сон. I'll supervise the kids' bedtime. So you can supervise a process, usually. Присмотреть за процессом каким-нибудь. Supervise, we'll need it to be like this. You can supervise people, you can supervise processes. We'll need to do collocates. Let's have a look. So, yeah, supervise children, that it's me. Supervise work. So that's, you're supervising the process. Supervise construction. But then people, again, supervise the students. Supervise the activities. So, as you can see, supervise people, supervise processes. And the person who supervises people or the person who supervises the process is called a supervisor. My supervisor let me go home early. And we use this word in universities. If you're writing a dissertation at university, then you probably have научный... Is it научный руководитель? I think in Russian. It's a supervisor. I'll ask my academic supervisor about it. So this person is supervising my research process. On a building site as well, you'll find that there's always a supervisor for each process on the site. Supervisor. And the noun supervision. Они находились под вашим наблюдением, когда произошел несчастный случай. They were under your supervision when the accident happened. Under your supervision. Next one. Цинизм. Это наша семейная черта. Вот. Черта характера, семейная черта. The English word is trait. Cynicism is a family trait of ours. Kind of strange that предатель is a traitor. She's a traitor. Предательница. Not sure quite how these words are connected, but a trait is черта. It's not a desirable personality trait. We could even say, wait a minute. Treachery is not a desirable personality trait. Treachery is the noun for being a traitor. And of course, it's not a desirable trait. Don't be a traitor. Be loyal. Loyalty is a desirable personality trait. So, trait. черта. 190. Он нажал на спусковой крючок. He pulled the trigger. So a trigger is what you find on a gun. It's not the only trigger, of course. And trigger is also a verb. Землетрясение вызвало цунами. The earthquake triggered a tsunami. To trigger something. And if we put in here trigger verb, trigger verb, and then collocates, we can see what other things get triggered. Yeah, so we often talk about it triggered a response. Вызвало ответ, реакцию. It triggered a reaction. It triggered a war. It triggered a memory. That event triggered a memory. That conversation triggered a memory. You can trigger an alarm. If you set off an alarm, the thieves triggered the alarm and so they ran away. So to trigger something. It's also a verb. That's another set of 10. So it's a good moment to pause the video, perhaps repeat the words, perhaps practice the words on hopkinsenglish.com. Or, of course, you can stay with me and I'll talk about the last set of 10 in today's lesson. Number 191. В Бельгии много военных кладбищ. Кладбища. There are many war cemeteries in Belgium. So this word cemeteries, there are 3 words for kladbische. There is a graveyard next to the church. There is a war cemetery outside the town. There is a burial ground in the forest. So, graveyard, it's a yard, it's dvor. So it has to be in a city, really. It has to be usually next to a church. Whereas a cemetery is usually bigger than a graveyard, and it's a whole area for graves, могилы. Burial ground, it sounds much more natural, almost like a pagan place. Pagan is язычные, I think. So I think probably the best word for most Russian kladbische is cemeteries. However, sometimes they feel so close to nature in these forests that maybe burial ground is more suitable. I don't know. So probably cemetery or burial ground, not graveyard, unless it's in a city next to a church. Next one. Президент пообещал сокрушить повстанцев. The president promised to crush the rebels. To crush something. Crush. Crushed. Crashed. Crushed. Crashed. I didn't quite get it. They were crashed. They were crushed. It's good practice because crush and crash, they sound quite similar. And if you can make your device type crashed and crushed, then you're clearly good at pronouncing English vowel sounds. Anyway, crash it's a sound, a crash. Whereas crush is more of an action. To crush something into small pieces. Crush. You can crush something. Usually you crash into something. 193. Добавьте порошок в воду и перемешивайте, пока он не растворится. So here we're talking about раствориться, and the English verb is to dissolve. Add the powder to water and stir it until it dissolves. So things dissolve in water. But you can also dissolve, for example, The Queen dissolved Parliament. And if you dissolve Parliament, then you send it away. Send everybody home. You send all the politicians home. The Queen dissolved Parliament would be распустила парламент. Go home, everybody. Dissolve. I suppose you've got it's kind of the same if you have a sugar cube in your tea and it dissolves, it disappears. So, to dissolve. Next. Моя новая машина очень экономична в расходе топлива. Экономично. My new car is very fuel efficient. So, when we talk about экономичность, we talk about efficiency. Значительно повысилась топливная экономичность. Fuel efficiency has improved dramatically. Efficiency. You need to work more efficiently. So if you work inefficiently, you waste time and resources. If you work efficiently, then you use time and resources well. Efficient, inefficient. Next one. Wstawcie свою карточку. If you have ever used an ATM, a cash machine in English, then you've seen this word. Insert your card. To insert your card here. Next one. Британия вступила в Первую мировую войну, когда Германия вторглась в Бельгию. So we're talking about вторжение here. Britain entered the First World War when Germany invaded Belgium. So, to invade. An invasion is usually about crossing a border or crossing a boundary. An invasion. Никто не ожидал, что вторжение произойдет. Nobody expected the invasion to happen. This word is not only about war. We could say I'm trying to think of a pest in the garden. Slugs invaded my garden. What's a slug? Шлаки. Is that the word? Слизни. I don't know. They're like snails, but they don't have a shell. Slugs. It's like a snail without a shell. Anyway, they invaded my garden. You can say that as well. Нас познакомил общий друг. Общий друг is a mutual friend introduced us. We often use the phrase mutual friend. Let's look at some other phrases that we often use with mutual. Mutual. You can talk about mutual funds. I guess that's общие средства, maybe? I'll check my translator. Mutual funds. Взаимные фонды. Взаимный капитал. Interesting. Mutual respect. I respect you, you respect me. Взаимно. Yeah, mutual respect. Mutual understanding. It's also this idea of взаимность, I think. Mutual benefit. It's a win-win situation. There are mutual benefits. Benefits for me and benefits for you. Mutual. Sometimes we say, the feeling is mutual. Like, he hates me and the feeling is mutual. I hate him too. Mutual. And the T is pronounced more like a ch because it comes before a U. Mutual. Mutual. Next. Я не могу вспомнить ее точных слов. I can't recall her exact words. Recall. Quite a long O sound. Recall. I can't recall. I can't call it back to my mind. That's why it's recall. I can't recall it to mind. Because we call things to mind. I can't call it to mind right now. I can't recall what she said. And the noun, which I think comes from this word, is recollection. Она ничего не помнила об несчастном случае. She had no recollection of the accident. Recall, recollection. Next word. Хотели бы вы продлить свою подписку? You have probably received an email like this at some point in your life. Would you like to renew your subscription? To renew. What else do we renew? Let's look at some collocates. Renew. Oops. Renew. Renew a contract. Renew a license. To renew your vows. That's about... They renewed their vows after 30 years of marriage. Not vowels. Usually I talk about vowels, but here it's vows, which is what you do at your wedding ceremony. The vows. I promise that I will... Da, da, da. You can renew your commitment to something. He renewed his commitment to the project. Продлить, возобновить, something like that. Renew, okay. And the last word in today's lesson, it's number 200. У меня не было зонтика, поэтому я промок насквозь. Насквозь. I had no umbrella, so I got soaked. I got soaked. My shoes are soaked. Look at my super soaker. A super soaker is водяной пистолет. So like kids love super soakers. You can call them water pistols. But if they're not just little ones, like a water pistol. My water pistol is small, but my super soaker is enormous. Little water pistol, big super soaker, because you can soak people with it. And if you soak somebody, then they are soaked. I like that word, soaked. Maybe because I come from England and we get soaked pretty much every week because it rains a lot. Soaked. And that's all. Well done. You've made it to word number 200. That's a lot of words. And I hope you can feel how these words are starting to enter your active vocabulary. I hope that you're finding opportunities to use them in your everyday life. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon. Bye.